Is Donald Trump serious about potentially sending U.S. troops to Gaza? That's what we're talking about today. Welcome in, everyone. As always, happy to see you all here. Before we do anything, always make sure to like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts. I love reading through the comments, seeing the debates unfold, and we obviously have a very, very, very serious topic to talk about today, and it is the growing discourse, debate about whether or not President Donald Trump actually might send U.S. service members into Gaza in an effort to rebuild. And this has been talked about nonstop since Trump made some comments in a joint press conference with the Israeli Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu, where he claimed the United States is going to take over the Gaza Strip. We're going to be responsible for all the unexploded ordinances, the bombs. We're going to rebuild. We're going to do all of that. And if you haven't seen that video of Trump's comments that sparked this entire situation, the entire debate, we're going to play those right now.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
So that was a video of President Donald Trump's comments that got this entire debate started, got the entire discussion, opinions flying all in. After he made those comments, the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, I don't want to say necessarily walked back, but attempted to clarify, saying that there had been no serious commitment for U.S. troops. They weren't committing American taxpayer money to rebuild Gaza, but at the same time did not entirely rule out that that is what might happen. There's a lot of gray area, which leads to a lot of the confusion. Before we really unpack this whole thing, I'm going to show you Caroline Leavitt's comments in full so you guys have the full entire context of the exchange and what was said, and we can judge it and break it down, and then we'll discuss in totality this situation with Gaza, potential troops going in, and what I think and what many other thinks of it. Let's roll the tape right now.
Garrett, great to see you here today.
Thank you. On Gaza, the president has spent basically his entire public career criticizing foreign entanglements, nation building, sending American troops to fight abroad, particularly in the Middle East. This plan seems like it could ultimately involve all of those things. Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to reconstruct this region. And let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region. And as I said in my opening remarks, we've had the same people pushing the same solutions to this problem for decades. And it's been made very clear to the president that the United States needs to be involved in this rebuilding effort to ensure stability in the region for all people. But that does not mean boots on the ground in Gaza. It does not mean American taxpayers will be funding this effort. It means Donald Trump, who is the best deal maker on the planet, is going to strike a deal with our partners in the region.
He did not rule out American troops in Gaza last night. Are you doing that now?
I am saying that the president has not committed to that just yet. He has not made that commitment, and you know that.
And on the
So there you have Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary. You saw her comments in full, what was said, kind of clarifying, walking back the idea that the U.S. is going to take over Gaza. Maybe troops are going in, maybe they're not. There's been no commitment. It's a very murky, confusing, gray area. So let's break this down. And I've touched on this slightly before in the video about Iran and what we might do over there. And I don't think we're going to do anything, as I said. I don't think that situation is going to pop off as some of the media in the government might be trying to scare people into believing. I see no evidence of that yet. That could obviously change, but I'm talking about right now. Let's focus specifically on Gaza. There's two schools of thoughts when it comes to the Trump claim. One is that he's serious and that the U.S. is going to go in. We are going to rebuild Gaza. We are going to put our people there. We're going to deal with all the unexploded ordinances, and we're going to personally take that huge risk. That's one school of thought. The second school of thought, and once I break these two down, I'll tell you which one I believe is more likely to be true, is that this is all a huge negotiating tactic. It's to get leverage. It's to signal to our regional allies, partners over there, the Israelis, the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, all of them, that if they don't want to play ball, if they don't want to get in line, then we're going to come and take this strip of land from them, and we're going to make it our own and do with whatever we want. Obviously, none of those countries want us to do that. They are allies of ours. They do not want, well, of varying degrees, I would add, but they do not want a massive U.S. military presence in the Gaza Strip for many reasons. They want to control their spheres of influence. The Saudis are arguably the most powerful country in the region. They have deep oil pockets. As I've said before, they have the ability to put their thumb on the scale. They have the ability to change international oil markets with what they do. They actually have the ability to impact things on a global stage. They want to be the most influential country in the Middle East. And you can make a very serious argument that that's currently the case. The Egyptians don't want us taking over the Gaza Strip. The Jordanians absolutely don't want us taking over the Gaza Strip. And the reality is, when we say, where President Trump says, well, these people are going to leave, they're going to go elsewhere, and then it's going to be big, beautiful for world visitors. Where are they going to go is the question. Are they going to go into Jordan? Are they going to go into Egypt? Are they going to go into Saudi Arabia? Where are they going to go? And these countries don't want to take these people. I'm sorry if that hurts some people's feelings. They don't want to take them. So they're not going to, essentially. I hate to burst the bubble for everyone, but if you think the Saudis and the Egyptians and the Jordanians are going to open their doors for, 500,000 refugees in each country, I think you really need to go outside and, and touch some grass to get reconnected to reality. So those are the two schools of thoughts. He's actually serious, and it's a negotiating tactic to get these countries in line so that they can put up the money, they put up the people, and they go in there and do it because it's in their backyard. It's thousands of miles away from the U.S. It's right there for them. It's on their border. It is a bigger issue for them to deal with. Now, which one of those two do I hope is the accurate one, and which one do I think would be a massive mistake? I don't think you guys are going to have to guess on this one. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think sending U.S. troops into Gaza would be a quagmire of disastrous levels. And I think President Trump knows that. And I've talked to people more plugged in than I have, and they've all said that they believe he's not actually serious. They don't think, and these are people close to the situation, they don't think he has any intention of sending U.S. troops into Gaza. But let's take a little history lesson. Now, does the U.S. military have the ability and the means to go into Gaza, get the job done? Absolutely. We're the greatest military in the world. We've got the best people in the world. We've got the best training in the world. We've got the best equipment in the world. We've got the biggest budgets for stuff like this in the world. We got the best technology. We've got the best of everything, whether it's on the human side or a technology equipment side. We've got it all. Could we do it? Yeah, but the place, as Trump's own people have said, and I think Trump has said himself, looks like a demolition site. So you're talking about urban warfare in a situation, potentially, where everything's going to be a sniper's paradise. I mean, it's literally like Stalingrad in terms of the buildings being gone, giving cover for guerrilla fighters, urban warfare fighters. It would be a disaster. And I'm going to say this point blank. Not one farm kid from the state of Wisconsin, where I'm from, not the life of one 20-year-old in the Marines from Wisconsin or in the Army from Wisconsin, it's not worth one of them dying for this. Not one of them. I am not willing to sacrifice one life of a U.S. service member for the Gaza Strip. That's point blank where I stand on this. That leads me to the second point, which is I think this is all a massive negotiating tactic. And if it is a negotiating tactic, which I believe it is, which the people close to the situation believe it is, that's not a bad thing. In fact, that could be a really good thing. I don't want to say art of the deal, but if it's a negotiating tactic and Trump is using this to pressure countries in the region to step up and take care of their own problems, then that's worth applauding. That's smart thinking. We cannot be responsible, the United States of America, for everything that happens in fixing every mistake in every corner of the globe. I'm certainly not an isolationist, not even a little bit. I understand why the United States military has to do what it does. I understand that there's times you have to intervene. This problem can be solved by the people who are already there. That's who needs to be leading the way. And so if Trump's coming out and saying this publicly, probably doing a lot behind closed doors, I don't have an issue with that. I don't think any of us should have an issue with that if he's doing it to force the hand of everyone else in the region. The Saudis, the Egyptians, the Israelis, the Jordanians, those four countries are the four that are going to have to get together and essentially fix this themselves. It's not the U.S.'s place. It's not worth our blood. It's not worth our money. It's not worth our treasure. None of it is. And if this is what it takes to get those countries to do what we want them to do, if we have to threaten that we're going to come in and do it ourselves, which none of them want that. If that's what it takes to get them to the table to lead the way, then so be it. As someone much smarter than me said, he believes as soon as Trump made those comments, the leader of Jordan was on the phone with the leader of Egypt, who was on the phone with the leader of Saudi Arabia, and they were trying to figure out a way to make sure the U.S. didn't feel the need to come in. And if they can figure out a way to fix this issue, I applaud them. I give them all the credit in the world, and I'll give Trump all the credit in the world for stepping up and forcing these people to do what he wants them to do. We're a superpower. We give billions of dollars every year in economic aid, military aid, and these countries are under the umbrella of protection that is provided by the United States military. So when we tell them we want them to do something, I don't care which one of the countries it is, the answer better be yes. And if they don't want to say yes, okay, give us our money back then. Give us the generosity provided by the U.S. taxpayer that funds all of you. If you don't want to listen when the President of the United States tells you to do something, give it all back. That's where I'm sitting. That's how simple it is. So he's either being serious about potentially sending troops into Gaza, which is insanity, and it's not worth the life of one American service member, or it's a negotiating tactic, which is incredibly smart. We don't know for sure which one of those two it is. I obviously hope it's a negotiating tactic. If it's serious and we're going to see the 101st Airborne rolling into Gaza to push out fighters, that will blow up in the administration's face, and his approval ratings, which are at record highs, will take a massive hit. He ran on not getting us involved in foreign entanglements. This is not our war. It's not our place to rebuild. It is up to the people who are there to deal with their problems. And we can provide assistance. We can certainly help. I don't have any issue with any of that. But the idea that kids from South Dakota in the Marine Corps and the Army are going to be marching into Gaza, it's not worth it. Not one of their lives is worth sacrificing because of Gaza. And that might be tough for some people to hear. That's the truth. And if that is a serious plan, we got to make it crystal clear we're not okay with that. If it's a negotiating tactic, I love it. I want to see the regional countries step up and lead the way. The Saudis, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, the Israelis. That's who needs to be front and center, not the United States of America. We need to take care of our people here. We don't need to be getting involved in another foreign crisis disaster in Gaza. And when we have all of our problems solved here, if something pops up, we can reconsider it. But that's the truth of the matter. He's either being serious, which is unbelievably stupid, or it's a negotiating tactic, which is really smart. We don't know yet. Time will tell. And guess what, guys? It's okay to criticize people who are on your own side. It's very easy to criticize people on the other side, but you got to hold your own accountable. And we cannot get in line with sending troops into Gaza. And I hope Trump doesn't do it. I think he's negotiating. He's using this to bend these countries to his will. And that's a good thing because we pay for them. We provide their security. We write the checks. And when we write the checks and provide your security, guess what? When we tell you to do something, the answer just better be yes, sir, and thank you, sir. That's it. And if you don't want to do that, fine. Give us the money back. And you guys can look out for yourselves then. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think. Hop in the comments. Let me know if you think Trump is serious about sending troops into Gaza or if it's a negotiating tactic like I think it is. Like and subscribe. Comment. I'll see you guys all next time.